All right, here we have our beastly Terran player from the Team Startail. Probably one of the best Terran players in the world at the moment. He needs to win this game, though.
Startail Bomber.
Bomber has a lot of options before him. There he is. And here we go. Our player with a pretty creative all-in last game.
Slayer's Ryung.
Slayer's Ryung.
Yeah, and it was pretty all-in, too.
Yeah, it
even if he
was.
killed all of Bomber's SCVs at the natural,
Yep.
Bomber still would have been ahead.
Huge thanks to LG, Intel, and G-Skill for supporting
Man,
the
look at those
GSL.
APMs.
You know, when you build a computer, you can put your Intel processor together with your G-Skill RAM and then complete the package with a nice LG monitor, 3D monitor.
That'd be good.
The StarCraft 2 is really cool in 3D, by the way.
I haven't had the chance to see that yet.
I've played it in 3D. I've seen it in 3D. It's very, very neat. It's a very unique effect. It kind of reminded me. You ever see those like claymation things back from when we were kids?
I actually
the Rudolph
made
the
a
Red-Nosed
claymation
Reindeer
once.
things. Really?
Yeah.
What was it about?
Me and some friends filmed a claymation about a lifeguard who was actually a gourd.
Oh, wait, a lifeguard.
It was a life gourd.
A life gourd?
And being a gourd actually couldn't save people and the kid drowned.
Wow, that's really sad, man.
Yeah. Well,
It's
it
like-
partly had to do with the sea monster. So.
Oh, all right. So gourd, saving or not saving people from the sea monster.
And the lesson to be learned is
Yeah.
never trust vegetables or fruit to save your life in an emergency.
Don't tell Artosis that.
That's true. I won't tell him that.
That's all right.
Getting back into this game, neither player doing anything cheesy after all, despite our speculation. Both players just kind of setting up normal stuff in their base. Bomber getting his SCVs, his depots rather, next to his orbital. Ryung, a little bit worried, getting a little bit of a wall just in case. He may be planning on using that to tech behind or something like that.
Yep. So, yeah, things just kind of getting rolling. This is the point in the game where you see things like SCVs being killed by Marines, like right there. It's a bad time for SCVs. This point in the game is a point in the game where the SCV is just like trying to grab minerals from the mineral line, trying to look innocuous, trying to make himself appear smaller than the other SCVs so he doesn't get picked to go scout the base.
Now, this build so far is looking exactly the same for Ryung.
Yeah,
He's getting that Reaper. He's got the one gas he's mining off of, and he's getting that orbital, the second command center as well. So it's looking to be the same sort of thing. It doesn't mean he's going to do the same all-in.
That's a good way to open.
It is a good way to open.
Yeah.
Bomber getting pretty much the same thing as well, lacking of racks. Might want to go for a little bit quicker second command center.
Now, yesterday in Code S, we actually saw a really interesting TVT build with Nada doing 2 Reapers, and yeah, that was kind of interesting.
That was cool. And actually, I found out, those of you that watched that yesterday and were like, where did that come from? He actually got beaten by that in the NASL a couple weeks ago. So he kind of stole it from his opponent. Was like, hey, that worked well against me.
I see a red dot. It's a starport.
Oh my goodness.
A hidden starport.
So we are going to see some pseudo cheese after all for Bomber. Going to do some proxy Banshees. And he actually, you know, he's produced a lot of Marines and a Hellion. And the Hellion's going to, in the middle of the map, do some dancing with that Reaper.
Yep. Hide your Reapers, hide your Marines, because they proxying everybody up in here.
That's right.
Man.
And the tech lab does go down immediately on that starport. Sometimes I've seen a couple times where they get a medevac first in order to drop the Hellions and Marines at the same time as the Banshee, but it is just going to be Banshees. Will we see Cloak or not? Hard to tell, but Ryung has 3 barracks.
Bomber does have enough gas to go for Cloak, but he is pushing in with these Marines and Hellions at the natural, and Ryung only with some Marines and SCVs has to come and defend this.
And he needs to make sure, if he does engage that, he needs to spread his Marines, because he had him clumped up there for a minute. That would have been perfect for that Hellion to do some major damage.
Yep. First Banshee on the way for Bomber. I'm pretty sure that's the first one.
Yeah.
Trying to poke in with the Hellions and Marines again.
Hellions go down very quickly, get targeted down, and it's Marines versus Hellions, and the Marines of Ryung.
Control.
Nice control indeed. Barely do win the day on that one.
I saw a Reaper come down, and I'm like, oh, that's just uncalled for. Oh, it's his own mineral line. So no Cloak for Bomber, deciding instead to go with a reactor, it looks like.
Yep, and he has it. He has the Banshee rallied to the back of the base.
Yep.
Ryung is going to have a turret before that Banshee gets there, so he's probably going to be pretty safe. from some economic damage. He's going to get harassed a little bit nonetheless, but...
There's the Banshee.
And he sees it. Some Marines coming back.
Able to stop that refiner from building. He's going to get a couple kills.
But a Hellion running in the front at the same time, actually, while the Marines are back there.
Nice. I like
Might get a kill or two.
There's a Marauder there, so we don't know how much that's going to do. The Mule, though, getting a little bit low. One SCV fighting for his life.
And 3 SCVs go down to that pair of Hellions.
Wow.
Nice exchange.
Yeah,
Whilst the Banshee gets 3 kills. 4 now, and that makes 5, 6, 7.
Bomber
Banshee
very irritating with this Banshee.
Is really, really paying for itself right now. The income tab shows that it's actually even in Harvesters, but he's got more tech as a result at the same time.
And Ryung actually going for a reactor on that factory. That's a little bit interesting. He might be building that for his starport.
Interesting.
However,
yeah, probably.
I've got a feeling that's got to be what it is. Yeah.
Probably.
Bomber. There's Ryung. There's the game. That Banshee getting a little bit low on health. I really like it when players move some SCVs up to that area to repair the Banshees in position rather than flying them all the way back, you know, or just not repairing them at all. But that hasn't really caught on yet in StarCraft 2.
Now Bomber is starting to pull ahead in the SCV count a little bit. He's got his second orbital up and running now.
Yep.
He is continually producing SCVs. Ryung not quite keeping up as far with the SCVs. Both players are going to have stim about the same time, so sometimes you have a window where one player can stim and attack the other, but it's probably not going to be a big deal in this game.
Both players basically even on supply. Bomber's 1 ahead.
Exactly,
so
even actually at this moment.
He's got a huge lead. No, not really.
And it's funny, he's actually producing medevacs at his proxied starport and rallying them back to his home base.
Oh, that's interesting. I suppose it would take quite a while to fly that starport all the way back, so that's not a bad use of that.
Yep. But
Hasn't
that does
been found
mean
yet by Ryung, so.
that does mean that he's not able to put a reactor on that starport really, so he's going to have less medevacs, whereas Ryung producing medevacs out of 2 starports, and as a result is loading up a drop.
He could make a secret battle cruiser from there.
And we are indeed reminded that we have a Slayer's Terran in this game, and
there we go.
One of those drops is going to get spotted, but also spot the starport, so it may be a long way indeed, especially going around the outside of the map, but that starport is going to have to fly home now.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if it's going to be burning by the time it flies away. Oh, it's getting so low. Is it close?
Oh no, Ryung
with
some poor control attacking the tech lab.
Whoops.
Instead of the starport, does not get that starport burning.
Yeah. Especially because you can just fly your own building out there and take the tech lab.
Yeah,
too.
and you know, it's little mistakes like that that are the reason why, you know, I wasn't too terribly impressed with Ryung before, and why I think Bomber is the better player. Yeah. Sorry, Ryung. The depots can still be seen.
Depots.
Yeah.
Yep. Nice try.
It's a good thought.
Banshees are like Tyrannosaurus Rexes from Jurassic Park. They can't see you if you don't move.
Actually, that Banshee just finally got taken out in the top left.
All right. Nice job by Ryung.
Quick little stim by a few Marines.
Well done. Scan going down somewhere on the map. Oh, that depot's not lowered. What does this mean? Scan going down.
And there's a drop in the main of Bomber at the same time. That dropship went all the way around.
Oh, he needs to be careful.
The quick reaction time of Bomber forces that back, and only a single Marine stays behind to distract. Make sure the rest of his brethren can get out of there.
And now, at this point in the life of StarCraft 2 as well, you mentioned the mistakes with Ryung earlier. That's kind of been the big deciding factor in most high-level games in StarCraft 2 right now, is just whoever makes more mistakes loses. That's
I mean,
just because
to me, that's kind of, to me, stuff like that represents kind of the way I think of the difference between Code S and Code A level.
It's a part of it.
You know, gaming. So that's kind of why. I don't know. At this point, people in Code S are still making mistakes like that, but you're right. It is young, and we're going to see the level of play just kind of leapfrog up and up and up from here. It's going to be exciting to see that.
Right.
And in the middle, we do have Ryung taking over the tower, forcing some Marines back. Looks like he might be making a little bit of a push here. He cleared out the rocks, so he might be able to take his third, but is moving across the center of the map with a decent army.
Bomber looks like he's well prepared for that if he can be in position. Ryung only with 2 tanks. He's got a medevac, and those medevacs getting spotted by the Marine.
Bomber's actually moving out to the middle of the map to meet him instead of holding back. does not want to get sieged on that low ground ledge.
I think
And
Ryung's gonna need
taking
to
the
run.
opportunity, Ryung stimming in with a drop in the main down at the south. Taking this opportunity while his army is out of position to go in with that drop, and it's going to take out some SCVs and Marines and turn tail and get on out of there with his kills. Those Marines spending their trip back home with putting some notches on their belts.
Yep. Take like a really strong saw to put a notch on a Marine belt because they're like
That's true.
titanium alloy or
They
something.
can withstand lava. As we talked
Yeah.
about.
Like adamantium belts. That
Maybe
SCV and that tank of joint forces.
Maybe they
Against
carry like another like leather belt in their backpack. So that's their
like
that's my notching belt.
souvenir belt.
Yeah.
They just hide it in their suit. They like pull it out through the neck hole.
Now Bomber showing he has superior macro again, as with the first game.
Yeah.
Getting a little bit ahead in supply. Not a ton ahead, but despite some losses, is still ahead in supply. And
Whoa. Running that Marine into the siege tank fire of Ryung, so now he does know where Ryung is.
nice move. Just burning that one
Yep.
Marine instead of his whole army to see where the extent of the siege range is. And looks like he's setting up. Oh, taking some damage on that tank.
Yep. Now
Wants to
Ryung.
just set up and divide this section of the map.
Yeah, the center of the map is so important on larger maps like that. Whoever can control it in a TVT usually does quite well.
Yeah, now that was something that Bomber, when he was behind against
Oh, here
Emma,
comes Ryung,
he's going to try to pick off those tanks while they're on siege.
Nice.
And he gets one.
Okay. Oh.
And
Losing
trades
a lot
it out.
of Marines as
I think
well.
it's a good trade, though.
Yeah,
You
not
want to
bad.
keep the tank count lower. And
Oh,
Bomber-
Ryung for us, Ryung.
What?
Like run for us, run.
Oh.
Ryung.
I got it.
Why
Yeah.
do I have to explain my jokes to you, Voltrap? Thanks, it's sad. All right, that command center is getting pretty low.
Oh, he might. He needs to, actually
I
might
don't
want to
think he's gonna
target
get
it down.
Yeah, I feel like he might have been able to. Oh, wow, take out the Marines as well.
Oh my god, he might actually
Ryung.
get it. It's down to 200 hit points.
SCVs
150. He
conscripted.
can't repair it until it's completed. And it's nowhere near completed.
Oh.
Oh!
Whoa.
Got down to
close.
almost 100 hit points at one point.
Yeah. If he would have focused it, he had a pretty good chance.
If he had focused it, he would have killed it.
Would have been very close.
He would have killed it if he'd focused it. I'm almost certain.
Yep.
But Bomber
here
moving
comes
across the
Bomber.
middle of the map while Ryung is unsieged. Ryung sieges up just in time. Loses a little bit of position though. He's now on the low ground.
The tank count is even right now too, 12 to 12. Marine supply.
Bomber's a little bit ahead in
Slightly in
Marines.
Bomber. Yeah. Bomber's over there.
Ryung a little bit ahead in SCVs.
Ryung does have the air advantage, but Marines do certainly help with that.
This is so
well.
this is so tense right now. This TVT is a hugely positional game, and Bomber is trying to take the high ground
Oh, wow,
position
he's just gonna
inside
go for it.
of Ryung's third, and he needs to get his SCVs out of there immediately. He does have a couple tanks up there. He's going to try and use that to buy time to get the rest of his army back up there. But Bomber, in the meantime, takes a really nice spot.
Oh, all the Marines running in. What is he
no!
doing? Huge misclick
Whoa!
by Bomber.
It is now 194 supply to 165. Ryung with a huge lead, and Bomber forced to
Wow.
fall back, and Ryung may even catch
Ryung
his
is
forces
there.
out of position, coming out of that location.
No, Bomber getting the siege. He'll be
Sieges
okay.
up a little bit, and
Oh, careful, Ryung. Don't pull a Bomber.
don't pull a Bomber there.
Man, look at that. He lost about 2/3 of his Marines.
Oh my goodness,
That was
huge.
like just like a move action.
That was huge.
Hate it when that happens.
I think they were on stop, and when one got attacked, the rest of them went to fight automatically.
Yeah,
He's
certainly
going to run
could
in
be.
here. SCV's mass repairing that orbital while the army gets in position. Lots of SCVs getting killed off, though. In the process, the orbital gets saved, but now it is a matter of 65 SCVs to 50. Actually not
too bad.
very big, but
Yeah.
most importantly, Ryung not able to mine at that third base right now, and he is
Yep.
mined out in his main almost.
So Bomber already ahead again in supply despite going down for a little
Wow.
bit there.
That's
But
amazing. Bomber has such good macro.
It is very good. Yeah. Oh, drop coming in from Ryung. Dropping on the low ground. They
And I
decided
like
to
how
try to-
Ryung, he's again taking the air advantage rather with those Vikings, making it so that if Bomber wants to have an even fight, he has to scan to get vision.
Yep.
And he needs to keep his medevacs back as well. Ooh, look, a little bit of a drop.
Oh.
Waiting on the side. Uh-oh. And tanks just at the fringe of each other's range. Bomber with a little bit worse position,
Marines
though.
coming in from the other side, from the south. They will turn around, though.
That could have been huge, because
Yeah,
he does
Bomber
not have
almost made
vision
a
of that
fight.
high ground right now. Well, actually, he had the tower, never mind. And And Bomber's going to try and take out that third again.
Oh, Bomber's expansion getting denied by Ryung for now. Oh, here he comes. He might be able to get it
he's targeting down the orbital, and there's no SCVs this time, but instead...
Nope, there it goes.
Oh, yes, the orbital goes down, but it gets attacked from the other side with a lot of Marines and siege tanks, and Bomber loses his whole army. Ryung is back up 15 supply again. Bomber's still ahead in Harvesters, though, and he lost that orbital, and Bomber has another base at the right side of the map, so even though Ryung taking a temporary advantage, Bomber still has the long-term game at this point.
Ryung's doing an okay job defending, but he needs to get aggressive now. He needs to make something happen. The drops just haven't been doing it yet. Moving out across the map right now, Marines shoving tanks out of the way. They're like, move it, tanks. We're Marines.
Somebody, get me out of this,
Now,
man.
Bomber, just like last game, as you pointed out, getting much better upgrades.
Yep.
He's going to clean that up to make sure he can take his fourth base.
Oh, here comes Ryung sieging up. There's a lot of Marines. He does have the advantage there. Bomber coming in from two sides, though. And who's going to come out on top? It looks like Ryung has a slight tank advantage, but all the Marines are dead for both players. Bomber again losing his entire army down to one tank. Ryung needs to reinforce this with Marines as fast as possible, though.
Yeah, and Vikings coming in, pick off a medevac. He needs to... Bomber basically needs to rely on his macro right now because he's getting beaten in every battle. The only thing he has going for him right at this point is the economic advantage.
Group of Marines
And a
getting
little
ready
bit
to
of
move
tech,
out.
I suppose. Oh,
I don't know about this move out for Ryung. This is not the best idea, I think. Moving in Marines as well. Nice flip to avoid the tank fire. Is he just going to try to snipe him off? He is!
oh my gosh, the Marines out of position.
Ryung.
2 tanks go down
Wow.
at the loss of mere Marines.
Very, very nice by Ryung.
And now he can siege up that expansion. So even though Bomber has an econ advantage right now, if he starts sieging that up and cutting down on Bomber's economy, he could be good. And actually getting some Marines at the right side of the map as well to take out that 5th base.
Nice. All right.
Bomber going for a big drop, though. Might be able to even things out if he can do some damage. And actually, Ryung's entire army is down at Bomber's base, so I don't know if he's going to have anything to deal with this drop. This might be a killing blow right here, this drop.
It certainly could be. I mean, Ryung's been playing well, but Bomber's macro has been absolutely amazing. He's made some questionable decisions this game. However, he is still up in pretty much every category right now, and this drop could do a ton of damage.
And he sees it on his minimap. Will he respond in time?
There's no way he
is
can get back there in time.
No, he's actually got nothing to get back there. Couple tanks and a few Marines. This is going to do some huge damage first, though.
Oh, he actually does have some units there, just popping out. One tank sieged up, more Marines trying to survive. 2 tanks are going to be able to clean that up.
And Bomber...
oh, maybe not! Spoke too soon.
Bomber continuing to fight in that tank fire. I think a little bit of a mistake there. He might have been distracted with his army at the south. His planetary at the 6 o'clock position is under siege now.
Yep.
And actually, Ryung is bringing his full army back to deal with Bomber's army moving across the middle.
Ryung doesn't have a lot of Marines, though. That's kind of the big weakness in his composition right now. But if he can take out... he's not going to be able to take out the drop very easily. Here comes Bomber with a huge force of Marines and tanks right now.
Wow.
Take out that remaining tank, and at this point, the damage that Ryung has done to Bomber is nothing compared to the damage that Bomber is doing to Ryung right now.
This might be the end of the game. We might see Bomber go up 2-1 if Ryung cannot somehow magically clean this up and then go for a counterattack. Bomber needs to siege up, though. Some tanks coming in from the other side. Ryung is going to get the first siege off, and his Marines and Marauders going to take out one tank. The tank's going to take out the others.
Now he's losing pretty much all his production buildings.
Bomber's just doing too much damage, though.
Yep, I think this is going to be too much damage for Ryung. Like you said, Bomber in a great position right now. And right now, Bomber's Marines basically just on cleanup duty. Here comes Ryung, and even if he cleans this up, he's taking such huge losses. He's almost 100 supply behind right now. This could very well be the end of the game for Ryung.
Yeah, Ryung desperately trying to get back into this game, dropping the right side base, sieging and dropping the bottom base, making sure that Bomber is only mining at one base, but it's just not going to be enough. Ryung now at 69 supply to 138 of Bomber, and doesn't really have any infrastructure anymore either. He's got no actually, I don't see any production buildings complete right now. He's got 3 barracks building, and that's it. And Bomber still has all of his production, mules to boot, 55 harvesters to 17 for Ryung. I think there it
GG.
is.
There it is.
As if hearing the status he was in,
Pretty much.
realizes his difficulty and leaves the game. Bomber given a run for his money, though.
A little bit. Yeah, Ryung definitely showing he can go toe-to-toe with Bomber.
Yeah, man.
Yep.
And Bomber, I gotta say, you know, these are Bomber's games to lose at this point. Bomber has some mad skills and is capable of some really high-level play, but making a couple mistakes here and there in all the games thus far.
It's okay though. I mean, he's not doing bad, but
No, he's not doing
I would
bad
say
by
out
means.
of the two players.
I mean, you know, it's comparing like,
Yeah.
you know, 9.8 play to 9.9 play here, basically.
Out
These
of
guys
the
are
two
both
players, it's-
top 1% of the world in StarCraft 2, probably top
Absolutely.
10th of a percent. But when you're at that level, you know, 100th of a percent can make a difference.
every
Those tiny little
Marine
mistakes.
counts.
Yes, exactly.
It's true. Yeah. So we are going to go on to a game 5. Only
4.
2 potential games left. Well, maybe we'll go on to game 5. We'll see. Kind of predicting it.
You think Ryung's going to come back in this one?
I think he might.
Crossfire SE,
We'll see.
another
I mean,
two-person map.
Bomber. I think Bomber obviously is the stronger player. I even hesitate a little bit to use the word obviously, but I don't know. Everyone's expecting
You know,
Bomber to
a
win.
couple
I mean,
hours
they
ago,
are.
I would have said Bomber is clearly the better player. At this
Yep.
point,
Well, Ryung was like,
I think he's still the better player, but
Yeah.
not by as much of a margin as I
Ryung
thought.
actually told me when I was talking to him. He said he was going to get 3-0'd. I'm like, no, you're not going to get 3-0'd. He's like, okay, maybe 3-1. So that's where Ryung was
Oh,
at
poor guy.
before this match. That's his mindset going into it. A combination of knowing he's playing against Bomber and not wearing his lucky socks.
Yeah,
Tough to
we'll
see if it
see.
matters.
Again, hopefully, taking some heart, taking some spirit from that to bring
Yeah.
into Game 4. Let's see what happens in Game 4.